Hello students, Jai Swaminarayan. Okay students, so our first chapter is finished and now we are going to start our second chapter of first unit is biological classification. Now in this chapter we will discuss about classification, meaning all the organisms in the world are classified into different categories, different kingdoms. So this is our chapter of classification and specially biological classification, meaning classification of organisms. Now our chapter introduction. So in history there are many attempts to classify the living organisms. Many attempts are there to classify organisms, but they are using the need of any organism to use the organism for food material, for sheltering and for clothing of humans. So that's why they are classified according to this criteria in history. Now Aristotle, keep remember, Aristotle earliest attempts on the scientific basis. Aristotle have done the classification on the basis of scientific basis is there in the time of Aristotle. Now Aristotle used simple morphological characters to classify the plants and animals. So what Aristotle have done is to classify plants and animals separately. They have started the classifying plants and animals. Now they use the simple morphological meaning outside characters which can be seen with our eyes. So this is called as morphological characters. So they use simple morphological characters to classify the plants and animals. Now in Aristotle time, plants are classified into tree, shrub and herbs. Okay, plants are classified into trees, shrubs and herbs. And animals are classified into two categories, which have red blood and which not have red blood. So there are two different categories of animals, red blood animals and non-red blood animals. So this is the system of Aristotle. Now further, Linnaeus. Now Linnaeus is there. In the Linnaeus time, two kingdom system is there. Another scientist and another system of classification. Now in the Linnaeus time, there are two systems basically, Plantae and Animalia. Now these are the only two systems which all the organisms are classified. Plants into Plantae and animals into Animalia. Now they did not distinguish between the eukaryotic and prokaryotic. Now as we know, recently in modern science, there are many research are there in the cell biology, in the particular zoology, botany. So now we know eukaryotic organism, prokaryotic organism, multicellular organism, unicellular organism, another photosynthetic organism and non-photosynthetic organism. So now we know, but in Linnaeus time, all these systems are included in two kingdom only. There are only two kingdom, okay, Animalia and Plantae, but they did not distinguish means differentiate between eukaryotic and prokaryotic, multi and unicellular and photosynthetic and non-photosynthetic. So these are the some criteria which have to be improved. That's why in this system, large number of organisms does not fall in any category. There are several numbers of organisms are there. So they do not fall in any category, any like Plantae and Animalia. So there were so many organisms also which are not falling in every category. So now this system is not very useful. So that's why this two kingdom system was not very useful. Then system undergone several changes. Ultimately system have to change, have to improve. So systems undergone the several changes over the time. Then number and nature of other kingdoms also understood by different scientists over the time. Now as the time passes, there are different scientists and different classification systems, criteria are changed over the time. Now very important here, R.H. Whittaker. R.H. Whittaker, the scientist, in 1969 has came and 5 kingdom classification given by R.H. Whittaker. There are 5 main kingdoms in the world. Okay, so the main criteria for these classification systems are cell structure, meaning what type of cell, which type of cell. Then thallus organization, meaning body of a particular organism, how body is organized. So this is thallus organization. Now nutrition mode, we can say mode of nutrition. So this is another criteria, important criteria, the mode of nutrition, meaning which type of nutrition organism is using, whether it is autotrophic, heterotrophic. Okay, now reproduction. So reproduction is another criteria for the classify the kingdoms for the organisms. And another is phylogenetic relationships. So phylogenetic relationships meaning evolutionary changes. Generation to generation there are some evolution. Okay, evolutionary changes are there, characters are there. So this is the another category, another criteria to classify the organisms. So इन चीजों का इस्तेमाल करके R.H. Whittaker ने सब ऑर्गेनिजम्स को इन 5 किंगडम के अंदर क्लासिफाई किया. हमने जैसे हिस्ट्री में देखा, हिस्ट्री में सब different kingdoms are there, but no more useful. So the R.H. Whittaker 5 kingdom is widely used, okay, recently. And in this chapter we are going to study these 5 kingdoms. Okay, now you can see in textbook our table 2.1. So in our table 2.1 there are 5 kingdoms and all these criteria are over the table, and different kingdoms are there and criteria and their characters are there. We will discuss our table in later by class, kingdom by kingdom. Now some disadvantages of the earlier classification system. Before the Whittaker there are different classification system, but what is the disadvantage? What are the disadvantages? So bacteria, for example, bacteria, blue-green algae, fungi, mosses, fern, gymnosperm and angiosperm. So all these organisms are placed under the plant kingdom. Okay, so all these organisms are placed under the plant kingdom in earlier, in history, but not in our Whittaker classification. Also there were unicellular organisms placed with the multicellular organism. Okay, so this is another disadvantage of using earlier classification system. And then heterotrophic fungi and autotrophic plants also placed together. Okay, so earlier जो classification system थे हमारे, उनमें ये सब मिक्स हो जाता था, सब मिक्स कैटेगरी के एनिमल्स ऑर्गेनिजम्स वहां पर होते थे. तो ये डिसएडवांटेजेस है क्लासिफिकेशन करने का. ओके, सो दैट्स व्हाई दिस क्लासिफिकेशन इज हियर R.H. Whittaker. Now criteria was changed. Now fungi is separate kingdom. As recent, fungi is separate kingdom, another kingdom, not in the plant section. Fungi is another kingdom, and all prokaryotic organisms placed into the Monera kingdom. Monera kingdom is also different from another, and all prokaryotes of the world are placed into the Monera. Now unicellular eukaryotic organism, keep in mind unicellular eukaryotic all organisms are placed into Protista kingdom. Okay, so this is our another kingdom, Protista. Now for example, Chlamydomonas and Chlorella placed with the amoeba and paramecium in the single kingdom. Okay, now this also can change in future as we understand different criteria and our future study. So this can also be changed in future. Now In this chapter, we are going to discuss only our Whittaker system 5 kingdom classification. Now, our first kingdom is our Monera kingdom. Now, in Monera kingdom, all the prokaryotic organisms are placed in this system. Now, bacteria are the sole members of this system. So, bacteria are the abundant in this Monera. Okay. Now, most abundant microorganisms also. Bacteria are the most abundant meaning everywhere. We will see microorganisms everywhere in your hands, in surface of your phone, in our book. Okay, so microorganisms are everywhere, and bacteria are the abundant among all the microorganisms. Now, some algae are microorganisms, some fungi are microorganisms, but bacteria are the most abundant. Now, bacteria can live on extreme habitat. These bacteria can live extreme meaning challenging places are there in the world. In our previous chapter, we have already seen about our extreme conditions, extreme habitats where the organisms are living. So the microorganisms also one of them. For example, hot springs. Microorganisms are live in hot springs. Hot spring meaning the temperature is very high. So microorganisms also are there. Some example is desert. Another is desert. So desert is dry region. There is less water. So bacteria are also there. So there are different types of bacteria in the world, and also their habitat meaning where they live. Now, many microorganisms or many bacteria can live as parasite. Parasite meaning depending on another organism, in human, in animals. So bacteria can live in as parasite also. Now, bacteria mainly group under 4 categories. 4 categories of bacteria are there. 4 categories which are based on their shape. Okay, spherical shape, it meaning coccus. So coccus is a unit and plural form is cocci. Now, rod shaped bacteria. Rod shaped bacteria are called as bacillus. And another comma shaped bacteria. Comma shaped bacteria are called as vibrium. And the plural form is vibrio. And spiral shape meaning zigzag. So spiral shape is called as spirillum. And plural form is spirilla. So these are the main categories based on their shape of bacteria. There are 4 categories. Okay, spherical, rod shape, comma shape, and spiral shape. You can also see the figure in our textbook also. Okay, so you can also search on Google. Different shapes of bacteria are there. So these are the main types, main categories. Now, bacterial structure is very simple, but they are complex in their behavior. Behavior of bacteria are very complex. Now, most extensive metabolic diversity. They have most extensive meaning complex diversity for their metabolism process. Metabolism I have already discussed in chapter 1. So metabolic reactions mean chemical reactions occurring in cell. So there are metabolic diversity in bacteria. Now, mainly 2 types. Autotrophic bacteria on the basis of their nutrition. How they take nutrition. So autotrophic meaning they make their own food. So 2 types of autotrophics are there. Photosynthetic and chemosynthetic. Now, photosynthetic meaning they use sunlight. Okay. And chemosynthesis meaning they use chemical substances, inorganic chemical substances, and they make their own food. Atmanirbhar we can say. Now, majority of bacteria are heterotrophs. Heterotrophs meaning they are depend on another organism for their food, for their nutrition. So, autotrophic and heterotrophic are the main 2 nutrition of bacteria. Now, these are the introduction of our Monera kingdom. Now, we will discuss different organisms in this Monera kingdom. First of all, Archaebacteria. Archaebacteria is a type of bacteria but different from real bacteria. We will discuss real bacteria also. Now archaebacteria are the special type of bacteria. They live in most harsh habitats. Most harsh habitat meaning challenging condition. They are living in challenging condition. For example, salty areas. Salty areas, you can imagine which type of area. Salty areas meaning they are called as halophiles. So organisms present in salty area are called as halophiles. Now another habitat is hot spring. As I already discussed, hot spring temperature is very high and these organisms are called as thermophiles. So thermophiles meaning bacteria which live in hot spring condition. So these are the archaebacteria. Now this archaebacteria differs from other bacteria. How? They are different from other bacteria. How? So in their cell wall structure. So different cell wall structure in archaebacteria. That's why the survival mode is different. They are survival in extreme condition because of their cell wall. Their unique cell wall is there. That's why they are living on this extreme condition. ओके, सो उनके पास ऐसा फीचर है कि वो कोई भी कंडीशन में जीवित रह सकते हैं. नाउ मिथेनोजेंस, अनदर टाइप ऑफ बैक्टीरिया. Methanogens are present in gut of ruminant animals. Okay, for example, cow, buffaloes, goat. So they are ruminant animals, and the methanogens are the bacteria present in the gut of their animals. Now they produce the methane gas. The bacteria methanogens will produce methane gas. That's why the name methanogens. So they produce methane gas. This is and called as biogas. Methane is called as biogas. So production of biogas is the important function of methanogens from the guts of these animals. From the dung of animals, meaning their digestive tract. Gut meaning their digestive tract. Now in next lecture we will discuss our another type of this in the organism of in kingdom Monera.